Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show. Joe Zagacki alongside Don Bailey Jr. And this week, the Hurricanes are home against Virginia Tech. It's Friday night football at Hard Rock Stadium. Hurricanes and the Hokies meeting for the 40th time. Miami used to play on Friday nights all the time, so we're going a little bit back in time. But this is a big game for the 7th-ranked Miami Hurricanes.
It really is, Joe, and the big part about it is it's conference play. Miami's opening up with conference play. They had 4 different opponents to open the season, 4 different conferences. Obviously, they're 4-0, but it's important that Miami gets off to a good start against Virginia Tech.
Hurricanes have scored 50 or more points in 3 straight games, which is a first. You mentioned Virginia Tech in a quick start. That's where they have struggled with their starts.
Yeah, they have. And the big thing about Virginia Tech, though, is the defense has not changed so much from when we remember back in the Big East with Bud Foster. They're a team that brings a lot of pressure. They understand how to hit the pressure points on the quarterback. It's going to be an interesting challenge for this Miami offense.
Hurricanes and the Hokies coming up on Friday night. And when we come back, we'll talk with Miami Hurricanes head coach Mario Cristobal right here on the Mario Cristobal Show. Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr. and University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. This week, the Hurricanes will be home against Virginia Tech, the 40th all-time meeting between the Hurricanes and the Hokies. Friday night football, Friday night under the lights at 7:30 at Hard Rock Stadium. Hope to see you there. Canes coming off a very impressive win, coach, against South Florida, 50-15. So many different things to talk about in this game. Let's start on the defensive side, because that was a whale of a defensive effort. They scored only 1 touchdown.
It was, and we knew going in it was going to be a tremendous challenge. So tremendous amount of credit to the players, to Coach Guidry and the coach for coming up with a scheme that allowed us, once we got our cleats in the ground, to start getting stops and change the momentum of the game and pitch the shutout in the second half.
Coach, I'm going to go right to the fan base. There was a lot of orange in the stands. I mean, that was a big game for USF, but the Hurricane fans traveled and they showed that they can be loud and make it seem like a home stadium.
Can't even, I mean, that brought back a lot of memories from being a player when coming out the tunnel and looking over to our side going, wait a second, this entire side is orange and green. You know, it was a great feeling, and I know our players really felt it and appreciated it.
What was it about your defense? You got off the field, you really stymied them on 3rd downs, you made them one-dimensional. Ultimately, it almost was like a 2-man game between the quarterback and the one receiver. But what were some of the things that carried the day for you defensively?
Sure. Well, allowing 1.9 yards a carry was huge, right? Because all of a sudden it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and now that's that plays more in our wheelhouse than it does to their offense. And once we were able to do that on a consistent basis and then put more pressure on their offense by our offense scoring some points, then it really played into our hands.
Everybody talks about halftime adjustments. I think that when you look at the numbers from what you went in with and what you're dealing with, and then you came out, completely shut South Florida out, it's very impressive. Tell us what went on at halftime.
Well, I think first and foremost was our players just taking their leadership role to a new level, starting with a guy like Cece, Mainoa Francis, and making sure everyone understood, look, enough of the post-snap penalties. We know how to play football. This is not our standard. And we're going to play our standard, and then just making the adjustments necessary in both the run game, the pass game, defensively, right, how to line up quicker their tempos, switch a couple things from a coverage standpoint, and give them some multiple looks up front that caused some confusion and gave us some great down and distance situations.
Probably worth noting, because we mentioned this last week on the show, that in the 3rd quarter, they had outscored their opponent 38-0. You had outscored your opponent 45-3, and after the game, it's now 64-3 for Miami, or 63-3 Miami, and 38-14 for them, because you put 14 on them, and 36 straight points you put on South Florida.
Well, we're blessed to have an awesome coaching staff, and we're blessed to have awesome players that truly take a lot of pride in listening and making those adjustments, knowing that it's going to be for the better of the football team. So the use of technology has been great. I mean, that really has been a great addition. We've used it wisely without overdoing it. And again, both coordinators have just dialed up some really good plans.
Coach, you go into that ball game facing a defense that threw something at you almost every single down. 0 sacks allowed.
Yeah, every single down. Every single down it's coming from the corner, the safety, the inside linebackers, cross blitz, double A's, you name it. Every single play, there's pressure and there's movement and man coverage behind it. So you got to hold up, and we kept Cam clean for the most part and came out with 0 sacks.
Big plays again, another big element for the Miami offense. You had 15 plays, 15 yards or more in this game. I believe you lead the country in that category right now. But those big plays, not only if some of them are big plays, but they're going for touchdowns, big plays for touchdowns. They're ending up in the end zone.
Certainly one of the categories that really shows up in favor of your team when in terms of the win and loss column. When you're able to get explosive plays and make those drives a little bit shorter, a little bit more manageable. And I think we've also shown the ability to have sustained drives, and I think it gives everyone a boost when you're able to score like we did on Saturday. The defense gets excited. They get to go out there and play, put their cleats in the ground and get off and make some plays. So it was a total team effort. And again, just really proud of our players.
Coach, a 91-yard run that now is the record at the University of Miami. Lyle enjoyed it. We spoke to him in the post game conversation. He was excited, but he said he couldn't get caught. There's no way that he was going to get caught.
Yeah, it would have been bad for him in the locker room if he did. Well, we see him practice all the time. That's what he does. That's what he is. People say, oh, he's got a great future. No, he's got a great present. Now, he's part of the now plan as well. And that guy is just continuing to get better and better.
You had, in all the drives, did not have any drives less than 75 yards, which also has been kind of a theme this year. You mentioned you're having some long drives, which gets to the high level of execution, which then probably gets to what you're doing in practice.
Well, we feel that our practice and preparation do become our game reality. We feel that the way we honor Green Tree practice field is showing up on game day more and more. And that was something that was a big point of contention for our program ever since the alumni reunion this past spring. That was driven home, and our players have taken that to heart, and they've made it real.
Damian Martinez, 3 rushing touchdowns, but had 50 yards receiving. And that talent of his has kind of gone unnoticed because he haven't really had the chance to catch the football, but he's adapted that.
You know what? He has, and the ball has been spread around to just about everybody on our team at some point in time or another, meaning every position on the team. And Damian continues to just show that, why he's such a valuable player to this organization.
Restrepo now has over 2,000 career yards receiving. He's on one end, and who knows, this kid might catch him at some point, but you see the development of Isaiah Horton. He's making some really big plays for you.
Yeah, he is, and he's a perfect example of college football development
Right.
and the cycle that comes with that. And he's really worked himself into being a really good football player, and sky's the limit for him. And we're really happy for him with the amount of time and effort he's put into it to have a game like he did on Saturday.
Simeon Barrows showed his range. I mean, he was making tackles outside the defensive ends. He was running all over the place, had tackles for losses and sacks. These last 2 weeks have been special for him.
Yeah, Simeon is excellent football player, relentless competitor, strong, powerful, and really is starting to feel comfortable within the scheme. So even better days are ahead for him.
Coach, can we pick up on something you said earlier this week about the layering of your team? And when you have the proper layering on your roster, it takes a lot of pressure off the younger guys. Because now they have leadership in front of them, and they don't have to be counted on to make all the big plays as if maybe they were years ago, because you have the right kind of layering.
Yeah, and the good thing is that when they prove that they are worthy of playing time, they get it.
Yeah.
There's no reservation. It's not like we don't want to hold a guy to the fourth quarter if a game's in hand. If a guy's ready to play, he's ready to play, and he's thrown in there. And and I think a credit goes, of course, to them first, but also their teammates for preparing them, making iron sharpens iron a real concept on our practice field, and the coaches for helping them in their development. So we're going to stay along the lines of playing a lot of guys, as long as they keep earning it.
The value of Mesidor, his ability to play all 4 spots across the line, and it seems like he's getting in condition and stronger and just has it all working at the same time.
Yeah, he's invaluable. He does it all, and he plays with a motor that's really unmatched. He's powerful, strong, athletic, fast, can play the edge, can play inside, can play head up on the center, just can do it all. So there's nothing that he can't go in there and do. So it gives us a lot of versatility on defense.
Well, staying on defense, Kiko Mauinoa has been a mauler the last 2 weeks. 11 tackles in this game against South Florida. It seems as if he's everywhere.
He is. I mean, that's what he's always been since he's been here. He was at Washington State as well. Again, that's just my Noah family, just in general, just awesome people, really, really hard workers, very team oriented, very much into impacting others. And man, he has impacted this program in such a big way. We expect him to be a really good player. Just really humbled by his loyalty and allegiance to us. And so we're really happy to see him have the kind of success he's having.
Andy Borregalis just keeps kicking him through, quietly having a fantastic year.
He is. And that's, you want to see those guys go down there and cover, but it's okay to boot that thing out the end zone too, right? And start the ball down there. So Andy he's primed and ready for some really big time opportunities, but we'll always take touchdowns over field goals.
You've also had 3 straight games of 50 points or more, which is a first. 209 points to start the season. That's more than ever before. So offensively, you're piling up some pretty savory numbers here.
It's great, but all focus is on the opening of conference play. We're very appreciative of the opportunities we had in non-conference play, and certainly got better, improved in a lot of different areas. But every bit of our focus is on Virginia Tech, the great team that they have, and playing to the standard and getting better, knowing that we're playing against a great football team.
Everybody talks about game day coaching, and I want to talk about the week before the game coaching. Perfect example is that you actually ran 2 huddles at one time for the defense to face to handle that tempo. And you go back to the Florida game with blasting the noise all summer long. It pays off, and it translated to a successful day.
There's no doubt. You play the game before you play the game. And the best thing a coach can do is have an organized, detailed, challenging practice. And it's the best thing you can do. And it's got to be as game-like as humanly possible to every detail possible. That's how you get players ready. That's how you gain trust and confidence from players and them in themselves to be able to perform on game day.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much. Time now for our high performance moment of the week, presented by Kia. And boy, was this a high performance moment. That's for sure. Jordan Lyle, Don bounces this one outside, and it's a 91-yard record-breaking house call.
It is, Joe. Offensive line gets a hat on a hat. They occupy the entire defensive front. Lyle does a good job of setting the run up, Joe. He goes right towards the gaps between the center and the guard, and then boom, bounces it outside, and then throws it into overdrive. Yes, he's big and he's strong and powerful, but he's fast also.
The longest run ever by a University of Miami running back. That's our high performance moment, presented by Kia. Okay, Friday night, it is Miami and Virginia Tech at Hard Rock Stadium, 7:30 kickoff. Friday night under the lights, the 40th meeting between the Hurricanes and the Hokies. Miami leads the all-time series 25-15, has won 3 in a row. This Virginia Tech team comes in, maybe a little bit wounded and angry and all that, but they returned 95% of their players on offense from a year ago, nearly 80% of their players from their defense a year ago. So they've got a lot of experience in their system.
Yeah, we don't see a wounded team at all on tape. We see the best team that we have played thus far. We see a defensive line that, they're top 10, top 5 in the country in sacks. They're disruptive, they're explosive, they're complemented by a lot of length and athleticism on the back end. Their linebackers get downhill in a hurry, and they do an unbelievable job tackling and getting guys on the ground. And they've got 20 of 22 starters returning. And it starts with their quarterback and their running back, and it goes out to their receivers and that massive offensive line. These guys, have been picked to win the conference by several. They've been picked to be a college football playoff team as well for the right reasons. They have great coaches. They got great players. They play really, really hard. We always know that program has always been tough, has always been physical, and we're looking forward to a great challenge on Friday.
Coach, on the defensive side of the ball, it almost looks like Bud Foster never left. He's the former defensive coordinator who created problems for the Big East and the ACC for every second that he was there. How do they keep reloading that defense and making it difficult?
I think it's part of what they are, part of their DNA, and Coach Pry, he brings so much of that, for all the stops he's had over the years. And he's certainly done a great job enhancing that roster. and continuing some of the great traditions that they've had there. And he's put together a great football team, so again, we're looking forward to a great challenge.
Antoine Powell Ryland, he's a game record, 6.5 sacks, had a great season a year ago. What makes him so effective?
Oh, it's everything. I mean, he's explosive, he's twitchy, he is fast, he's relentless, his motor's off the charts. He's got every imaginable move, spin move, dip, rip, club, pull. I mean, he's double moves, out and out, name it. I could go on and on and on about what he does. He uses his hands extremely well. He understands angles. You could tell he studies offensive linemen and their sets because he attacks their weaknesses. And he closes. He closes on ball carriers and on quarterbacks in a manner that, again, there's a reason why he's regarded as one of the best players in the country.
When you say special teams and Virginia Tech, they seem to go together, and nothing has changed there. They've got great special teams.
They do. They challenge you in every way. They challenge your kicking game. They make sure that they don't leave their nose open. You know what I mean? They do a great job. So they always have. So we expect the same on Friday.
And they've always produced really good dudes in the secondary. They got a couple of good ones now. Delaney's really good. Strong's really good. Strom's very good. So those two guys in the corner, what problems do they present for your passing game?
They're just a very senior-laden, upperclassman-driven organization. And the guys that aren't seniors, they have a lot of playing experience. They're long in the back end, got a lot of length. They're really fast, and they have excellent hips and feet. I mean, really, really like high-level foot and body quickness, transition really well. They understand passing patterns. They understand route concepts. And they drive on the ball with purpose and intent. So they're just a really good secondary.
Coach, give us some insight on how you manage a short week.
I mean, you just scrunch those 24 hours and you spread it out, throughout the rest of the week. There's some challenges that come with it, but it's not as challenging as what the NFL has, a Sunday to Thursday. It's not. And, we've seen, I feel like we see a lot of football when we play against each other, in practice. And it's not unique to us. Virginia Tech faces the same situation. So, we're smart with the way we practice, but we certainly aren't going to miss reps that are going to help us in our opportunity on Friday.
It's another dual threat quarterback, but I think one of the things that stands out to me is he's as big as a linebacker. He's 235 pounds.
Yeah, he is. He's as dangerous as it comes in college football nowadays. There's a reason he's regarded as one of the best players in college football, and he's one of the reasons why that team can go. He is, again, he's a guy that we're looking forward to playing against.
Coach, explain to us how you decide playing time, short week, long week, it doesn't matter. But how is the process done when you come into a ball game trying to get the other players in?
Absolutely. We assess film. We assess film, both the previous game and the week of practice. If there's ever, if it comes really close and there's some type of tie, then you go right to the classroom, making sure you're on time to all your appointments, from the training room to your academic appointments, tutoring, all that stuff. But going back to the original part, yeah, it's earned. That tape is on display every single day in front of the entire team. And if it doesn't matter the age, where you come from, how old you are, all that stuff, if you show that you can play winning football for the University of Miami Hurricanes, you're going to play. We're going to get you on the field.
Coach, the red area, the red zone area, both sides. In the last game, defensively, you had some big red zone stops. They had to settle for field goals. I thought that was big. And then offensively, your touchdown numbers in the red zone are approaching 70%. So those continue to climb. What makes a good red zone team on both sides of the ball?
Execution. It really is. It's that simple. I know it sounds very, mundane, very just bland, but last year we looked at two statistics that we really want to make a big jump at, and one of them was turnovers, right? We were turning it over more and not causing enough. And the other one was the red zone, right? We're getting down there. We're having some really good opportunities, but we were coming up a little bit short. We weren't as explosive. We had a lot more longer drives, more sustainable, lengthy drives. And now all of a sudden, I think our level of execution, our level of awareness, understanding situational football has allowed us to take execution of both defense and offense to another level.
Coach, defensively, everybody wants to talk about the takeaway. And then as far as quarterback pressure, though, I think that's kind of a quiet area, which Miami's done a phenomenal job, and it creates all the problems for the offense.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, protecting the guy that's throwing the ball and affecting the guy on the other side are always here. And they're always trying to affect our quarterback. And on Friday, we expect the same thing. They're going to bring the world at him to try to affect him and get him off schedule. You know, you see it in everything you read from them, right? Well, if the quarterback is off, right, you can really impact the game, and all of a sudden people can become one-dimensional. So certainly on both sides of the ball, the trenches have stepped up and have played well. But when you watch tape, both sides will tell you we could get a heck of a lot better, and that's what our focus is right now. We just got to keep getting better and better and better.
We've gone through most of the entire show and did not mention Cam Ward. He threw for 400 yards, and I think he probably, what he mentioned to Don is what you just said. He thinks he can still get better, but there's a long way to go in his game.
Yeah, he is. He's relentless. It's the best way to describe him. Proactive, relentless, unfazed, hungry, driven, team player, all about the team. So we, you know, he doesn't have a bad day as a competitor. He just doesn't. And today was another example of that. And we expect to come in tomorrow and get after everybody.
But the other thing is he's contagious.
He is.
Yeah.
His personality is running through this team.
You know, I don't think there's any position in sports that affects a team or an organization more than a college football quarterback. Again, maybe I don't know enough about some other, you know, sports and whatnot, but man, that position, the way he's impacted this team, it's been massive. And like you mentioned, it's contagious. So let's keep spreading it.
Quick note, hit you up a little bit on the recruiting world here real fast. It's interesting to me today in high school football in our area, the matchups you see. For example, Central's playing American Heritage last week, and Chaminade's playing Norland. The county matchups. I don't know if we had that many when you guys played, but that makes the gauntlet even tougher for these kids to go through. How much, because of that experience, how much better does that make them locally? And then on a national front, there's great high school football being played in a lot of places now.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, that's why a Reuben Bain could come in here and be a freshman All-American, right? Playing right down the road in Central against high-level competition. Why Francis Mainoa could go up to IMG and, you know, all of a sudden, you know, play at a high level, be a freshman All-American. That's why Mark Fletcher over at Heritage and Jordan Lyle at St. Thomas or OJ at St. Thomas, they could step right in and bam, all of a sudden become really impactful players. They've been doing this since they've been knee high. Right. So, and they've been doing it in parks and parking lots, in front of a ton of people in different stadiums. They're coached by excellent football coaches. All these guys have had great head coaches, position coaches, and they're pushed, and they have great regimen and great structure. And so it's the type of guys you want in your program.
It's really a blessing for these players because I've been around all these clinics for years, and the high school coaches here, maybe some of the biggest are the largest group of unsung heroes in our community. I mean, they actually change people's lives.
They do. I mean, to this day, I know that my high school coach is the reason that I coach. Most impactful person. You know, my parents, they were too busy doing, you know, work all day, all night. So the high school coaches down here do not get anywhere near the credit they deserve for the hours they put in. They do it for just about nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, and certainly I think everyone needs to advocate for them to help them, you know, as they continue to push forward and help groom and develop the future, you know.
You have two guys in your staff that had an interested eye last week on the Central Heritage game. Coach Smith and Coach Rumpfer, kind of keeping a little bit of an eye on that one. At any rate, Friday night, Miami and Virginia Tech. Coach, the very best of luck. Looking for a big crowd there for Friday night. This team certainly deserves that kind of welcome home.
Amen. Bring it. Go Canes. All
right, that's University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal, and we will continue on the show right after this. When you give it your all to be in peak condition, sometimes you get hurt. From meniscus or rotator cuff tears to muscle strains and other common sports injuries, the experts at the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute, part of UHealth University of Miami Health System, are committed to getting you back to your best safely, effectively, and as quickly as possible. Recover your game with the same team that cares for your Miami Hurricanes. Schedule an appointment today at ulsports.com. Back on the Mario Cristobal Show Friday night at Hard Rock Stadium, the Hurricanes and the Hokies of Virginia Tech meeting for the 40th time. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr. Hokies defense only giving up 22 points a game.
That they are, Joe, and part of the reason is they get to the quarterback, but they have always been wanting to establish their ability to stop the run, and it's no different right now.
They want to run the ball. University of Miami is giving up 64 yards a game on the ground.
It's going to be a struggle. Miami's defensive line has done a phenomenal job, but also I think the linebacking core has done a great job of making sure they pursue and get the ball carrier on the ground.
Okay, as we mentioned, this starts conference play. This is the real McCoy now. And if Hurricanes want to go or get to where they want to go, they've got to play great the rest of the way. One way to do that is win your home games and have a home field advantage.
You have said that for a very long time. Make sure you win the games at home, and you're 100% correct, because after this ball game, it's a long trip out to the West Coast, and you never know what happens.
Okay, hope to see a lot of Hurricane fans out there. For Don Bailey Jr. and University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal, I'm Joe Zagacki. We'll see you next week on the Mario Cristobal Show.